Today we'll be taking a look at the 5th map of the 400th zone. And we're going to be starting off with the very first demo from August 29th, 2021, many years ago now. Bob9001 says, I also like this map. Let's watch. So Bob posted 2 demos here. We're Zone 400 Map 5. I'm going to be watching this one first, and then I'll watch the second one. I might speed up a little bit through the second one because they're both very similar in time. And you know, I don't want to be here for 15 years. But again, this is the very first demo recorded for the map in the UV Max category. This level's got, the thing I like about this level the most is like the ammo is very like stringent. Where, you know, as you see, Bob used the rockets there, or at least 2 rockets in the imp window section. And that's the thing, is there's not many rockets. There's like maybe 8 or 9 rockets in this entire map. And so like where and how you use the rockets is like the big routing thing for when I was competing in this map. Is every time I was trying to do a new run, I would try to, okay, let me use some rockets there, let me use some rockets here, just experiment with different areas. Whereas you can see Bob is using rockets on imps, which I wouldn't necessarily think is the best thing in the world, you know, when you got Hell Knights and Revenants, but also some rockets on the Revenants. But again, one of the big things about UV Max runs are infighting. And so Bob in this demo seemingly is kind of doing like each section by section, killing each like monster in each section and then advancing to the next one. So as you can see here back, we're in the starting area and everything's dead already, which is, you know, again, it's the very first run here. And this is the thing I always say about table filling. When you're the first one to do the run, it doesn't matter how fast or super excellent you are at the game, because I think the first run is always a very important historical record. So, and there's, you know, like look at the first runs for Doom 2 that, you know, go all the way back to 1994 or 1995. You know, like that stuff is very interesting to watch. I'm sure, you know, in 10 years from now, and if someone's watching Zone 400 demos, hopefully they are in 10 years from now, this run will still be very interesting historically. So, and the thing about this run is the current record is just about a minute faster than this. So you can definitely see, like, you know, again, so many people playing this map. This map has a lot of players. I didn't even count, maybe like 5 or 6 different players. And so it's going to be fun to watch all the different routes. Like I was saying earlier, infighting is a big thing here, and as you can see, there's a little bit of backtracking with the level design. And then the other thing are the rockets and then the plasma gun. The plasma gun is very interesting, and where you can use it. It's kind of like, I still don't even know where the best spot to use it is, but that is Bob's first demo. And now we're going to get into the second demo. This one's only 2 seconds faster, and it was done a couple days later. So I'm going to play it on 1.5x here, just to see if there's any differences in the routing choice. Interesting start. Now, like that, I was saying earlier that rockets are very like, there's not that many rockets. So like where you use the rockets is kind of important, but also there's not that many shotgun shells, at least for the first half of the map. I find that when you're in maybe the second half of the map, you're not really worrying about the shotgun. But in this first section here, like depending on how you go about things, and also you're seeing here that Bob is skipping some of the Revenants and Hell Knights, so that's interesting. But you know, again, the shotgun shells not very plentiful, so Bob ran out at the very start there. Sometimes I like watching Doom demos on fast forward; it's kind of fun. Now, if you're really lucky, you can get those arachnotrons to fire at the Baron, and then they can fight while you're in this yellow key room. I'm not even sure if that happened in the record or not. There's some nice infighting I heard there with some scratching. But either way, like, it's super random, and that's the thing with this map especially. You know, Doom, obviously, when you're trying to kill all the monsters, infighting is a major factor. But this map especially, because you don't want to spend too much time, like, kind of baiting them, you know, standing behind the Baron for 15 years while you wait for them to shoot at you and then hit the Baron. So you're just kind of trying to do a drive-by, and you're just hoping for the best. Now this is very nice monster grouping here, as you can see. Even though this run is only 2 seconds faster than the first demo, the route here seems much more solid. The route seems a lot better, and the execution seems worse than the original demo. But either way, those are the first 2 demos from Bob 9001. And next we're going to be getting into a 2-minute, 20-second demo by Billa, who says, I was having trouble getting sub 230, so this is a pleasant surprise. Getting the Baron to infight the Arachnitrons is a pain, but it saves a lot of time, especially since ammo is relatively short on this map. Somehow the Baron never wins. Now that's interesting, because again, there's 2 Arachnitrons and 1 Baron, right? But the thing is, when the Baron kills the first Arachnitron, they would typically not fight the second one unless, like, in the middle of the death or something, the Arachnitron is, or like they somehow manage to fight both of them. But again, in my experience, I didn't even really have the infight set up to happen that much. But anyway, let's actually see this. This is about 20 seconds better than Bob's run. Just taking the super shotgun and running past these guys, firing a little bit of a drive-by. Using rockets here, which Bob used as well. I wouldn't use rockets in the imp section there, but still very interesting. See, now that's the big thing about Billa's run here versus Bob's, is leaving all these demons alive and then leaving the rest of the monsters alive while you just run past into this box section. And if you notice here, I'm just going to rewind slightly. Slow down and look at the map here. So if you'll notice, the enemies kind of box up in this like octagon looking ass shit. And I don't, you know, and so when you're kind of like getting these guys, when you're shooting these guys with the super shotgun, if you kind of stay in the line of fire in the corner, Billa's not doing it as much, but I'm just pointing this out for later. You can sometimes get the guys down in that other room to fire. And then, you know, because the height difference, they'll probably end up firing at each other. Now, it's interesting that Billa uses some rockets here, because that's actually a really good strategy that I didn't end up using when I first got the record for this map, but I did end up using in the current record for this map, as of right now anyway. So it's interesting that Billa used rockets there. And then I was sleeping on that strategy for a while. Now, using the Berserk Fist is you can make an argument here for it. But, you know, you'd have to be aggressively, you know, just holding fire and just hoping you don't get hit for it to be faster than the super shotgun. But especially when you're using the rockets on those guys, the Hell Knights usually aren't going to be at full health. So you can kind of get away with the Berserk Fist, but it ends up kind of throwing a lot of runs into the garbage can. So using the super shotgun is definitely more consistent. So Billa's going for the loop around here for that infighting. Very interesting. Having the Baron fire at the Arachnitrons. Now again, I ended up when I was running it to just driving by, and if it worked, it worked. If it didn't, it didn't. I don't even know if it ended up working in the current record, but I wouldn't say Barons fighting the Arachnitron is vital in this section, just because, you know, again, when you're opening up this wall at the end of the map, having them there, you know, also triggers a chance for infighting. So, you know, I wouldn't say it's vital to get them to fight on the first roll, but, you know, it's a pretty interesting thing when it happens. I'm sorry, Billa. I'm sorry. We just got to do instant replay. Instant replay. All right, check this out. It happens to the best of us. But yeah, using the plasma gun for cleanup here. That's the thing, is like, you know, you want to use some rockets and use the splash damage from the rockets to deal like a good starter dose of damage. And then you want to use the plasma gun to clear them up, because if you use the super shotgun and let's say the Kako Demon has like 1.1 super shotguns of health left, then you got to watch that like 2-second reload animation every time. So that's why you want to save the plasma for the end there. But a solid demo, again, 20 seconds better than Bob 9001's run. And next we're going to be getting into another 8-second improvement from Child Roland, or Childe Roland. I'm sorry if I pronounced it incorrectly. I apologize. Who says, can definitely get below 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Well, I agree with that. It comes down to 2 things. How well you clean up the Red Skull Key room, and how fast you kill the final Baron. Interesting. Final Baron. Interesting. Okay, the Baron is left alive. at the end. Okay, we'll see. I got excited on this run when the Baron came downstairs and then got a tad sloppy with the rocket launcher after. I'm pretty sure I glanced down and saw the possibility for a sub 2 minute 10 seconds run, which is always a bad idea. I then got nervous and sloppy. Never look at the clock in the clutch last few moments, especially if you think you're on a record run. Now that is some good advice. I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with that. Sometimes, you know, you look at the timer, and first of all, like looking at the timer, you know, you should probably not look at the timer ever unless you're trying to do like a setup based thing or something like that, or like a cycle based situation. But oftentimes just looking at the timer is a distraction. But also when you look at the kill count, the timer's right there too. So sometimes it's really hard to just avoid it. You could also theoretically just disable the timer, but you know, we speedrunners, you know, disabling the timer, you know, I mean, make an argument. Anyway, let's watch. So grabbing that super shotgun, running past the horde of demons, shooting some of the chain gunners, which is interesting because the chain gunners are really easy to get infighting. I would rather shoot one of the demons than shoot the chain gunners. And also, as you can see, there's no rockets on the imps in this run either. So just running all the way up to the box room. Now, one thing you have to watch out for is this shotgun here. You can pick up the shotgun, and then it's you have to do the weapon swap that's forced on you when you pick up a new weapon, because that's the first shotgun in the run. So that's like something you have to watch out for. Sometimes you can accidentally roll over the shotgun and pick it up when you're trying to fight the Baron or the chain gun, or God forbid, and then just get fucked, you know, while you're waiting for the animation. So shout out to id Software for forcing the weapon swap, one of my favorite features. So as you can see here, Childe Roland is just kind of like letting the guys group up in that small hallway section, whereas Billa would go back and fire some rockets first. So again, a very interesting kind of route differential there. So this room here, I think I had trouble with this room, like consistency-wise the most. You can kind of run past those guys, the whole Manx and Revenants thing. You can just kind of run past them up to this section, but that's really hard to pull off. And the benefit of that is you get infighting. You know, from the Mank usually kind of fires randomly into the crowd, and then shit gets rolling from there. Okay, so the Baron is pretty easily dismissed right there. That's actually a really solid Baron kill, and it seemed that one of the Arachnotrons was already dead. In fact, I'm going to rewind. Was one of the Arachnotrons already dead? So they did get fighting. That's interesting. All right. Yeah, as far as infighting goes, this run is really nice. Yeah, definitely I noticed a little bit of that sloppiness that they mentioned in the text file, but not that bad. I'm sorry, instant replay, instant replay. No! But yeah, solid run. Definitely, I think the route here is maybe a little worse than Billa's, but the execution was rock solid for sure. And then the infighting luck was also pretty good. But again, the rockets are the main thing here that it's very interesting. Shout outs to MAP05. But it's very interesting to notice how each kind of runner is using the rockets in different areas. Bob was using some rockets on the imps in the window. Billa also used rockets on the imps in the window. But then also used rockets in like the group up of the Hell Knights and Revenants, whereas Childe Roland did not do that. And also did not use the rockets on the imps in the window. So again, we're getting a large variety of where the rockets are being used, and that's the kind of stuff that I really enjoy about these kinds of about, you know, when you have a run or a map that has like so many different runners. Right now we got, I'm just going to count them all real quick: Bob, Billa, Childe, Axel, BF, Gandorf, and myself. So that's 6 different people who have, you know, probably have 6 different approaches to the run. And then, of course, you know, as the records kind of get a little bit better and better and better, we're going to be seeing, you know, different people or the same people trying different routes and so on and so forth. But here we have a 2-minute, 10-second demo by Axel, who said around 2 minutes should be optimal. I disagree with that, but let's check it out here. Once again, shooting those chain gunners, shooting one of the demons, shooting the imp before the weapon swap, the imp in the window section there. That's very interesting because, you know, the weapon swap kind of makes that a little bit annoying if you want to shoot the imps at all through there. But, you know, very nicely timed on that one too, so just running past these guys. And again, as you can see, I mentioned this earlier, but if you stay in this corner, you can kind of get them to fight each other while you're kind of waiting for the animation of the reload on the super shotgun. I'm just going to replay it again just to show you. Because again, you can see them shooting, and there's really no way to speed this section up, at least that I know of, outside of maybe like doubling back with the plasma gun or something insane, but I didn't end up doing any of that. So if you're going to be using the super shotgun here, which to my perception at this moment in time is optimal, you also want to be monitoring where you are so you can get the other monsters to shoot each other. And using rockets in this section here, which is a very brave move, because sometimes you just open up this wall and you just get a face full of demons and not the Hell Knights or the Revenants, and that kind of just soaks up the rockets on it's kind of a waste of rockets when that happens. But who knows how many times that happened to Axel, and then this run was just the lucky one where that didn't happen, but still, interesting routing. So I seemingly trying to bait infighting there to some degree, but I'm not sure if it was successful. And again, I don't even think that Baron fighting with the Arachnotrons at that particular moment is even necessarily optimal, because, you know, there's so much shit going on. If you just kind of run by and then approach it later, there's just so much shit going on. You might even get the same amount of damage that you would have otherwise when the Cacos and the Pain Elemental come out and so on. So, but again, you can see the section by section cleanup here that is still, you know, carried over all the way from Bob's run of, you know, kind of like the first half, kind of like letting them fester in the first half, but the second half kind of taking it more methodically. And just doing the section by the section and then moving on. And usually when it comes to speedrunning, when you see like kind of major route improvements or something like that, typically they're going to be front loaded, right? Because when you're a speedrunner, you know, you're resetting a lot. So you play like the first half a lot more statistically speaking than the second half, right? So if you're going to try some crazy shit, usually you're going to end up trying it in the first half and then, like, you know, okay, I got a better first half than the previous run. So now all I need to do is kind of secure the run, keep it on pace for the second half, and then I've got a record, right? So typically you end up seeing kind of a lot of the optimizations, especially in this kind of map. You're seeing the optimizations really start in the first half, but each run up until this point kind of does the second half very similarly to each other. So again, kind of beefing up that first half, but the second half has a lot of room left. So now we got a 206 here from BF Gandorf, who says 68 attempts, previous record by Axel. So thank you for the vital information. And this is getting us all the way up until December 2023. So from this point onward, I believe we're going to be in the year 2024. So let's check it out. 206. Now this was the record when I started doing Zone 400 runs. I was looking at some of the early game levels, and this was the first record that I beat. So I definitely watched the demo at some point, because I did have some problems with this map at first, kind of before I kind of really understood it. So I think I did end up watching this run before. I would just want to say this, like, getting this shell box here, like, easier said than done, because sometimes that one Hell Knight kind of blocks your movement a little bit, and it kind of disorients you when you fall off. So I just wanted to say shout outs to getting that shell box, because I think we've all been doing it so far, or they've all been doing it, and I haven't done anything yet. You know, it's kind of frustrating sometimes. That Baron is probably the least appetizing section of this whole demo, because you kind of have no choice but to just sit there and super shotgun them. Again, maybe you can make an argument, get the plasma gun, and then double back at some point. Like, I'm open to that as a concept. Like, maybe if someone wants to get a new record, play around with that. But then again, like, then you don't have the plasma for the last, I don't know. But that one Baron where you're just super shotgunning him, sometimes it's tough to watch that happen. But, you know, in a run like this, where, like, that's just the slowest part. Everything else is really fast-paced, lots of infighting potential and that kind of stuff. And again, we're seeing here BF Gandorf, as well as all the other players so far, have just been taking this last half, just section by section. Really just, again, another demo where the first half is spruced up tremendously, and then the second half is just kind of hoping for good rocket splash, and then just doing each section at a time here. And that does change in a little bit here, so keep your eyes peeled. A lot of missed plasma, but when you're using the plasma gun on a Cacodemon and they're flinging backward, that's like the worst thing on planet Earth, because you're just going to end up wasting so much plasma. But at the same time, like, what are you going to do, switch to the super shotgun? That's not too viable either. But again, a solid demo, 206. And from BF Gandorf. And we're going to be seeing some more BF Gandorf in a little bit here. But now, let's go to my first record run, which is 204. And I wrote in the comment section, an SSG gauntlet, my favorite. Could use rockets more splashy-like, but I sometimes don't know how to play the game. So that's probably true. I really don't know how to play this game, so let's watch. Now again, at the when I was doing this run the first time, I did end up using the super shotgun a lot more. Like this section here, I just end up killing both of these guys. And as you can see, some of the previous demos skipped them too. So at this point, I'm doing like a slower first half. And so that's, and again, with all the context of the previous runs, you can see like the evolution of, I'm trying to get a couple shots on there as I'm getting the shell box. But you can kind of see the evolution of the first half more so than the evolution of the second half. But so far, I would say, outside of getting a couple of those little cheeky super shotgun blasts in there, I think that my first half here is actually worse than the previous runs. These imps cause me a lot of problems. Sometimes they just do not cooperate. And I'm not even using rockets here. So I would certainly say... and now again, it's not as simple as like execution, because I'm not using rockets here, and that means I have the rockets available to me. I have more rockets available to me in the second half. And so when I first played this, I just thought using all the rockets, or at least using most of them in the second half was better. I don't necessarily believe that anymore, but as you can see, again, my first half, even execution-wise, I think is a lot worse, and routing-wise, I think is a lot worse than the previous runs. But somehow, and again, I'm also doing this section by section, but somehow I managed to eke out a 204. I don't know how it happened. Maybe my execution wasn't that bad. Maybe my infighting was super lucky. I don't know. It just kind of happened. 2 rockets on the Pain Elemental and they survived. I'm calling up a lawyer immediately. Oh no. Okay. Now this demon here, I just want to say this demon is along a block map line. So like you have to aim at this guy. If you're using the super shotgun, you have to aim at them very specifically. Otherwise you're going to miss and it's going to take 2 shotgun blasts. And that's the worst thing in the world. Or you can use the Berserk Fist for the faster, like, inter-shot cycle. You know, usually you're not going to get a Berserk Fist on the first, you know, punch. Sometimes you will. But, you know, it's more consistent than the Super Shotgun, I'd say. But I got it lucky there. If I didn't, it would have been, it wouldn't have been the record. Because this is only 2 seconds better than the previous run. So it all hinged on getting that one there. And then BF Gandorf came back from the shadows with a 157.97 no comment section. And this is where, again, BF Gandorf and I kind of went back and forth on this really rapidly over the next, you know, over the days. You know, this is May 9th that they recorded this demo. So that kind of May 9, May 10 section where we had a lot of back and forth. So we were really going to be seeing the rapid evolution of this route. So let's check this out. Again, this is quite a bit better than my 204. This is the first run below the 2-minute barrier. Skipping the chain gunners entirely, which is, you know, again, I said earlier that the chain gunners are very easy to get to infight. So just skipping them entirely and focusing the shotguns on the demons is just a way better way to do it. So using the shotgun blast there. Really good on the infights. You know, took a rocket there, but again, getting those guys in that little, you know, height differential section to fight each other, that's a real big time save. Again, at this point, we have all the execution at this point is like rock solid. So you're seeing a lot of variance in like the main luck factor, which is infighting, and then the routing factor, which you could say is separate from execution, but still skill based. You know, so it's like a skill based thing that, you know, you kind of figure out before the run. So it's not necessarily execution, but it's also not luck either. Dropping down in here with a lot of guys left. Again, allowing for maximum infighting to take place. And also, this is the new thing here that BF Gandorf did, is just running past those guys. Once you get the red key, that's when the wall lowers, and then you can get the Arachnotrons to infight with the Mancubus, and that's all the kind of good stuff. And that is going to be the major routing change that you see that BF Gandorf introduced. And it just saves a shitload of time. So that really opened up the floodgates for when it comes to finally bringing this run all the way down to 144, which is the current record. And it's also, again, routing. It's superior routing, but it also opens the door to a fuckload more luck factor. And as you can see here, exiting with one rocket left. Come on, Gandorf. You don't have to show off now. But still a solid run. Definitely when it comes to the routing angle, Gandorf kind of just went overboard with that one. Totally knocked it out of the park. So next up, we're going to get 155 from myself. And this is the same day. And I wrote in the comment section, I had a look at Gandorf's route, which is pretty fucked, but it does the work. I knew I'd fucked that last demon up, and I witnessed the horror happen in real time. And I'm still traumatized to this day. About a week later, I'm still traumatized. And you'll find out why I'm traumatized very shortly. So getting the 2 shotgun blasts on those demons. I'm still, at this point, I'm still shooting these 2 guys here. Because, let's just be honest, I'm garbage. You know, I just didn't feel like running past them. Didn't shoot any of the imps through the window. That's one thing that Gandorf is doing that I'm not doing. I think I played with it a little bit at some point, but I don't know. I kind of just like randomly either shot the imps in the window or didn't, depending on what my vibe was at that time. So that's one other thing about how I play the game, is like oftentimes from attempt to attempt, I'm just trying different shit each time. So like sometimes like when I watch back a record, I'm like, oh, that's the run where I tried this out or something like that. So I'm always trying to like innovate in random ways in real time. I don't necessarily do my routing beforehand. I kind of just come up with it on the fly. But you'll notice I'm not using any rockets here. So I got really lucky on the infighting there without using any rockets, which is pretty, I would probably say that the infighting there was just tremendous, like just straight up excellent stuff. But again, that's a luck base. That had nothing to do with it. I just got lucky. All right, so now I'm trying to jump down here to get those cells. And the thing about those 2 little mini cell packs is that they can be kind of frustrating because you don't want to whip out the plasma gun before you get them, or like when they're not in the area, because then you don't want to whip out the plasma gun, use all your plasma, and then go get the mini cells and bring the plasma out, because that's an extra weapon swap animation that you could theoretically avoid. I got really lucky with Rocket Splash here. Infighting also really solid. And now let the horror film begin. Could have been like a 153, but it wasn't. It wasn't. It was just, oh. All right, so now we're going to move on to 154 by BF Gandorf. And I'm going to be playing this demo by itself, but the next 2 demos, I'm going to be doing another dual screen side-by-side comparison here, because the next 2 demos are both 151s, and then I'm going to be watching the 144. Now again, the 144, when you consider the gradual You know, again, just to go back at this one. So we had 206, then I got a 204, then Gandorf got a 157, then I got a 155, then Gandorf got a 154, then I got a 151.89, then Gandorf got a 151.17, and then I got a 144. Like, how is that even possible? Now, again, to be honest with you, I don't even know. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Let's check out 154. Let's see if there's any routing changes or anything. And this is the very next day. So, we're in the heat of the competition here. So Gandorf is shooting these guys, interestingly enough, which I consider to be slower. So I don't know if Gandorf watched my run and just did what I did, or they just, you know, sometimes the Hell Knights just get in positions where it's like, you know what, just fuck it, shoot them. But often I think it is just better to try to get past them or just even reset if you don't. That's what I was doing. So when I was trying for the 144 anyway. So going back here to use the rockets, and I watched every time Gandorf was posting these runs, I would watch them before trying myself again, and that's where I first saw the concept of using the rockets in that section right there. But again, as you saw, Billa was doing that all the way back in her 2-minute 20-second demo. So, you know, that was the superior route was really done by Billa the whole time. So when you think about it. Again, just running past these guys, hoping for the best. Now, instead of dropping down to get the plasma cells right away, Gandorf kind of kills those Hell Knights and kind of then just runs around. And the problem with that is now the Mancubus is stuck in that little cubby. And then again, you don't want to use the plasma gun in a way where you run out of ammo and then have to swap back and forth, which is exactly what happens to Gandorf here. So then you got to fight your way all the way back and then swap back to the plasma gun. Definitely sloppy, but also the Mank was kind of occupying that space, so it really was not, you couldn't have dropped down there, and that's kind of just random, you know, luck of the draw. But that's 154 by Gandorf. I saw that and I was like, nice rockets, you know, like the rockets, especially, again, the ones that Billa came up with initially, like several years ago that I just ignored because I'm a piece of garbage. But anyway, with those rockets, I got back a 151.89. So again, we're going to be doing a dual screen here. And I'm just going to set this up here real quick, because this is all, I do this all in one take typically, because that way it's less work. All right, so now again, just one key difference is when I do these side by sides, I'm not actually running the game in the engine, so when I do pause it, the sound stops. Whereas sometimes I pause the demos while I'm actually running it via the engine, and then of course the music continues to play. That's one thing that really, you know, but anyway, I hope that's not too disruptive. But anyway, these were both done on May 10th. At least I think they were. You know, let me just double check this actually. What do we got here? Well, now I'm just going insane. Okay. So yeah, I got my 151 on May 10th at 1:52 a.m. Okay, and BF Gandorf got it back at 8:55 p.m. But I know Gandorf is French, so the time zone differential there is baked into the date code. But either way, let's check this out. These were both recorded on May 10th, at least at some point in various time zones, whatever. And again, very close, same second barrier, about maybe, you know, somewhere around 2/3 of a second differential here. And let's see how the routes differentiate, if they do at all. Let's see how the execution differentiates, if it does at all. And most importantly here at this point in time, infighting. So as you can see on the left, I'm trying to skip these two guys here, and Gandorf is still killing them. Now, if you'll notice, I'm all the way up in the box room already, and Gandorf is still kind of messing around in this section. But keep in mind that these are to the same whole second here. So again, you know, I might have a little bit speedier getting to the box section, but Gandorf has already killed a couple of the Hell Knights, you know, so that's not, they don't have to worry about that, and I do, and so on and so forth. So again, it's gonna, I like when kind of the runs, especially when, again, they're very similar end time, but when they kind of just, like, kind of go, it's like a football when you think about it. You know, it starts off in the same point, it ends kind of in the same point, but then they go in two separate routes. So imagine a football graph. So I'm going back for the rockets. Probably not the best rockets, I would say. I think Gandorf got slightly better rocket splash than I did. I would reckon. So we both get the blue key at the same time, but Gandorf leaves a couple guys behind, whereas I've already killed them. So getting that really nice snipe there. I'm gonna rewind a little bit and show off this like snipe thing that Gandorf did. So check out Gandorf's screen here. So now I get to use my mouse. This is pretty fun. So again, Gandorf leaves a couple of guys behind. We both kind of resync at the blue key, but I've got some more kills. But you know, Gandorf is really excellently taking care of that guy. So check this out. Opens the door, snipes that dude, and then continues on through this section. Gets a little bit like kind of roughed up by the demons because shooting the Hell Knight kind of rearranges the RNG a little bit. So, you know, maybe wasn't a total time save, but it looked cool as hell. So now we're kind of, again, Gandorf is pulling ahead, at least as far as, like, getting the keys. I'm just dumping plasma here. Gandorf is doing the same before switching to the rockets. And again, I got to clean up a little bit more, I think, than Gandorf does. I think, yeah, so Gandorf had probably better infighting in this section, and that was what totally resynced, and then also got Gandorf ahead. So as you can see here, I'm going to replay this last section here, because again, in this demo, I chose to use the Berserk for more consistency, and that may have actually bit me here. Let's see, let me just see when the doors open. The doors open, I actually opened my door first. And so again, I was saying earlier that the Berserk Fist is more consistent. And in the last run, I had the super shotgun and I missed the shot. So I was paranoid. And that cost me here because, you know, obviously I did my run first. Gandorf went back with the 151. So like, you know, it's not like we were racing, you know, in real time or anything. So if I did use the shotgun here, Gandorf would have had a different target to go for and would have probably produced a totally different demo. But, you know, we're not in that universe. So, and again, when you're looking at these side by side, I opened my door first, but because I went for that slightly more consistent, but also slightly slower strategy, and Gandorf just went for the shotgun. And again, if you aim the shotgun really well, you can get that shot. And so again, this is a perfect kind of way to just see it. Look at the fucking this video is chopping up like fuck. Look at this fucking resolution here. Oh my god. But again, that is the perfect representation of what I was talking about earlier. So, jeez Louise. But anyway, there's your side by side. And so I saw the 151.17 and I was like, damn, because at this point I was like, I don't know how much lower this run can get. I was really like kind of worried. I'm not going to lie to you. I was worried. I was like, getting 150 is going to be hard. And it's getting to the point where you're kind of relying on infighting. You're relying on luck and the skill factors becoming a smaller piece of the pie if you imagine a pie chart. But anyway, I tried again. And I think I tried this for about an hour or so on the evening of May 10th. If you look at the time codes, I actually ended up getting this before Gandorf's 151. You know, if you don't count the fact that Gandorf lives in France and I live in the United States. And in the comment section, I say, I'm pretty surprised at the time too, and I'm still surprised. Let's watch it again. Well, let's watch it for the first time. I'm watching it again, but you're watching it for the first time. So, getting the super shotgun, just rolling past those demons. At this point, kind of like, you know, the first section here is just, I've done it so many times. Just kind of skipping around these guys, but trying to pop a couple shots in. Where those chain gunners end up when you skip them at the start are kind of random, but I got 3 of them there in the hallway. Sometimes they're in the starting room. And right here, again, I'm trying to stay in the sight of those guys down in the hole. And then I use, now the thing is, again, I mentioned the shotgun weapon swap. I use that to swap to the rockets. So that way I'm going to swap to the rockets anyway. I don't know if the previous runs did that. I think they did. I'm just mentioning it now for the first time because I'm kind of a lunatic. And I got really good splash here, as you can see. I saved 1 rocket as well. But I just want to look at these rockets again. So if you look, there's a bunch of demons in the middle, and then you have the Hell Knights on either side, and then a Revenant on the right side. So I shoot, like, the demon horde, but close to the Hell Knights. So it kind of hit a bunch of the demons, but it also hit the Hell Knights as well. And then I went over there to shoot the Revs, and then that last rocket kind of went over the head of one of the Revenants, went behind it, shot the Hell Knight, which is kind of also in the middle of, like, as you can see, there's a bunch of guys here that are in the splash range. So I got super lucky on these rockets. I just want to, you know, really point out here, the major time save of 151 to 144, all luck. I'm just throwing it out there. It's all luck. I just got, everything went really well here for no reason. Like, I only needed 1 section to go really well, but they all went really well for just no reason. And the thing about the super shotgun in this section here is there's pierce through. Like, when I'm shooting this demon, I'm also getting a little bit of damage chipping away at that Hell Knight, which leads to, again, that also with the splash damage, only taking 1 shot left. Kind of just running past here. I just straight up shoot that Baron. Just while I'm doing the drive-by. I don't give a shit about the infighting. I just shoot the Baron. Here I was actually a little bit sloppy, but again, the Mank kind of in-fought with some of the guys, and that led to a little bit more diabolical stuff. But even though that was going on, the Mank was still shooting at me, so I really don't know how 144 happened. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I was just as surprised as probably anyone else. And as you can see here, the Arachnotron is kind of fighting. I just want to rewind this one because I mean, this doesn't feel that good. And that's the thing. Like, I don't know where the time came from. Maybe it was from the first half. I don't know. Because this does not feel that good. I really should not have used rockets on this Baron. I should have used them on the right Kako up there, which would have splashed the left Kako up there, and then also theoretically splashed the Baron as well. But instead, I just kind of shot the Baron. You know, I would say my execution here is sloppy at best, but the infighting was just superb, and I guess I got really good splash damage. I would say that the first half was really what kind of saved me a lot of the time, was that first half. But again, 144. That's the current record. I'm thinking this run's pretty good. It could definitely get under 140 if, again, you get extremely lucky. All the splash damage goes perfectly in every section, and you spruce up the execution a little bit more in the second half. And there, I think you could get like a 139 if you were to really grind it. But again, we're at the point here where execution, you're definitely going to be able to save some time with execution, because I think my execution here in the second half was a little lackluster. But really, I mean, the luck factor at this point, I think you can definitely squeeze a couple more seconds out of the luck factor. So a couple more seconds with luck, a couple more seconds with execution. I think a 139 could be done. But either way, we'll see if Gandorf tries again. Gandorf hasn't tried again in the last week or so. I was kind of waiting to see if he would or not. I don't know if he will, but either way, here's the video. And if Gandorf tries again and beats me, maybe I'll make an update. I'm not sure. It's funny because a couple of these, since I started doing these Doom demo history, a couple of them have kind of had like new chapters entirely. You know, like 23 Castle, for example, was the first video I did here. And then since I published that video, there's probably double the amount of runs for that WOD. So maybe at some point, maybe in the future, I'll do like a redo of, like, you know, what are the new records and all the runs I've already looked at or something like that. Let me know what you think about that. But either way, this is probably my longest video for this series so far, but also I think we had the most runs to look at out of anything else. And again, really solid map. I had a lot of fun going back and forth with Gandorf, and there you go. So thank you for watching. I'll see you later. Just kidding. I don't have eyes.